Back in the studio with Lewis Allsopp. It's question time again. So a question which has come through from our social media channels, Lewis. There's been a recent report out in Arabian Business which says that Dubai prime property has slipped by only 1% in the last year. Why do you think they've remained steady?
It's good, isn't it? Only 1%.
Only 1%.
Yes, so Dubai property prices have definitely halted. There's definitely a slowdown in property prices and the decline. I can see it stopping. But before we talk about the prices and the decline that's happened, it's important people understand why the decline happened. And I say this to every single person that I meet. I have a very in-depth knowledge of the Dubai property market, and it's important that I share this message with everyone so they understand if they own a home or they're buying a home, what happened. So if you go back 5 years ago, maybe 5.5, 6 years ago, Dubai property market was booming. I think it went up 20% in a quarter. That's how crazy the property market was. And between the Land Department and Central Bank, they decided that, look, it's going up too much and we're heading into a bubble unless we put some cooling measures in place. So there's not a question for me in terms of, oh, what happened to the property market? It's a crashing market and etc., etc. It's a controlled dive. I said this before. This has happened for one reason. They didn't want a bubble to happen. So what they did is they doubled the transfer fees at the Land Department from 2% to 4%. And I think the loan to value was 85%, and they brought that down to 75%, in some cases 65%. So if you wanted to buy a property over 5 million, you needed just over 40% of the value of the property in cash to buy it. So it becomes very difficult for people to buy. You need to be liquid to buy. So that happened. So that's important. People who are watching this, who are involved in the property market, understand it wasn't a question of what happened. I know what happened. Prices went down because they were meant to go down. We're now in a stage when we're talking about the prices hitting this, I suppose, the plateau where they've hit the bottom. Why have they hit the bottom? Simply, owners have got properties that have mortgages on, and they've reached their limit for the mortgage. So they may have bought it for 3 million, their mortgage is 2, it may be worth 2 today. People are not going to sell below their mortgage amount. So that's when you're going to reach the limit where people physically cannot sell. I believe we're very close to that, where people will not go below that point. So I think this is a factor where right now we've hit the bottom of the market, and I don't think it will go down any further. I think that obviously you've got projects being built, and there's new projects coming up. But if you look at prime areas like the Palm Jumeirah, villas like Springs, Lakes, Meadows, they're staying strong at the moment compared to where they were 6-7 months ago.
Okay, another question which has come through from LinkedIn.
Yes.
What do you think needs to happen in the market for property prices to go back up?
Okay. Mark my words, and again, I don't know what's the date today?
The day is the 12th of August.
So filming this on the 12th of August. I predict that by January, prices will be on the increase. I think that for the prices to go back up, something has to happen. And what I think will happen, again, this is just a projection. I don't have a crystal ball. I've seen many people make projections and get it wrong. But my projection is that there will be some type of first-time buyer mortgage come in, or something to help the loan to value to make people get a step on the property ladder a lot easier than it is at the moment. So I think you have an 85 or 95% loan to value will come in. I think it'll be for first time buyers, potentially under a certain value, 2 to 2.5 million dirhams for a first time buyer. If that comes in, go and ask any tenant today who is paying 100,000 dirhams in rent, hey, if you could buy a property and put down the same amount you're renting for, would you do it? The answer is yes. And if they don't do it, I don't understand why they wouldn't. 90% of them would say yes. So if the loan to value does come in, what will happen is it will suck up all of the properties that are on the market at the moment, because the tenants will become buyers. There will be not enough availability coming on in the prime areas, which means prices will naturally start to go up. So when there's more buyers registering and more properties being sold, values will increase because it's a supply and demand ratio. So for the property market to increase, forget talking about the oversupply. The oversupply has been there since 2007, 2008, 2006 when I was here. People always said, who's going to live in these properties? They've always been filled because the population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you want to know why the property prices and how they're going to go up, the mortgage cap will change, bring in first-time buyers. If that happens and you're on the property ladder, you're on for a good ride. That's enough from me. There's more content coming out from our YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Please click and subscribe. I think there'll be a little button here saying subscribe somewhere. If you do that, you'll get to see all the videos that we've uploaded, and it's just information for anyone interested in the property market on what's going on, what's going to happen, our projections, how to buy our properties, lots of information on there. That's enough from me. Thank you very much. Bye.